It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. When It's a Wonderful Life was released in 1946, it had everything going for it. Frank Capra directing, James Stewart starring, and a heartfelt message about life's true meaning. But to everyone's surprise, the film was a box office failure. It barely covered its costs and was considered a commercial disappointment. No one at the time could have guessed that it would one day become one of the most cherished films in American history. The story centers around George Bailey, a man who's given up his own dreams time and again to help others in his small town of Bedford Falls. As life's pressures close in on him, George finds himself on the brink of giving up completely. That's when a guardian angel named Clarence appears and shows George what the world would look like if he had never been born. The results are haunting, touching, and ultimately uplifting. Audiences in post-war America weren't ready for such emotional depth. They wanted optimism and escape, not a reminder of life's hardships. So despite its powerful themes of self-worth, sacrifice, and community, the film failed to strike a chord with moviegoers at the time. But fate gave it a second chance. In the 1970s and 1980s, the movie began airing on television each Christmas season, free to show because of a copyright oversight. That's when its real magic took hold. Families across the country made it part of their holiday tradition, and the emotional weight that once scared audiences away now drew them in. Today, It's a Wonderful Life is not just a classic, it's a cultural icon. It may have flopped when it first premiered, but it found its home in the hearts of generations that followed. Citizen Kane, 1941. Often hailed as the greatest film ever made, Citizen Kane was a cinematic revolution when it debuted in 1941. Directed by and starring 25-year-old Orson Welles, it broke new ground with its non-linear narrative, deep-focused cinematography, and bold storytelling. Yet, despite its innovation and artistic brilliance, the film was a major box office disappointment. The story follows the life and death of publishing tycoon Charles Foster Kane. Through flashbacks told by those who knew him, we see a portrait of a man who had everything: wealth, fame, power, but died lonely and misunderstood. The mystery of his final word, Rosebud, drives the plot, gradually unraveling the emotional emptiness beneath his empire. So, why did such a visionary film flop? One major reason was the powerful media mogul William Randolph Hearst, who believed the film was a direct attack on him. Hearst used his vast newspaper empire to crush the film's promotion, even banning mentions of it in his papers. The controversy kept audiences away, and Citizen Kane struggled to gain traction in theaters. Additionally, the film structure was considered too unconventional for the average moviegoer. People were confused by its non-linear timeline and complex character study. It was admired by critics, earning 9 Academy Award nominations, but took home only one, for Best Original Screenplay. It wasn't until years later that Citizen Kane received the recognition it truly deserved. As film schools and historians began to study it, they uncovered layers of brilliance in every frame. It became a blueprint for modern filmmaking and a symbol of artistic integrity. Though it flopped when first released, Citizen Kane eventually claimed its rightful place in history, not as a forgotten film, but as a masterpiece that was simply ahead of its time. Vertigo, 1958. When Alfred Hitchcock released Vertigo in 1958, he expected another hit to add to his growing list of classics. Instead, he was met with disappointment. Critics were lukewarm, audiences were confused, and the film underperformed at the box office. It was even considered one of Hitchcock's rare failures. But time would prove just how wrong the world was. Vertigo tells the haunting story of former detective Scotty Ferguson, who suffers from crippling acrophobia, an intense fear of heights. After leaving the force, he's hired to follow a woman named Madeline, who seems to be falling under the spell of a ghost from the past. As Scotty becomes obsessed with her, the story twists into something far darker, exploring identity, obsession, and psychological collapse. The film's dreamlike pacing and psychological depth were too complex for many 1950s audiences. Viewers struggled to understand its layered narrative and disturbing themes. Even Hitchcock himself was reportedly embarrassed by its reception, and the movie quietly faded into the background of his otherwise stellar career. But years later, critics and film scholars began to reassess Vertigo. They saw it not as a misstep, but as a masterpiece that was simply too advanced for its time. Its use of color, camera movement, and music by Bernard Herrmann created an atmosphere unlike anything audiences had seen before. And at its core was a bold, disturbing exploration of obsession and control, far ahead of its era. Today, Vertigo is hailed as one of the greatest films ever made. In fact, it topped Sight and Sound magazine's prestigious critics poll in 2012, dethroning Citizen Kane. What was once a misunderstood flop has become a shining example of how true art sometimes needs decades to be fully appreciated. The Night of the Hunter, 1955. In 1955, The Night of the Hunter hit theaters with a chilling story, a legendary performance, and a bold visual style that seemed destined for greatness. But instead of applause, it was met with confusion and disappointment. The film flopped at the box office, critics were unsure how to react, and it faded quickly from public view. It was the only film ever directed by actor Charles Laughton, and because of its failure, it remained his last. The story is a dark fairy tale set in Depression-era America. It follows Harry Powell, a sinister preacher played with terrifying intensity by Robert Mitchum. With love and hate tattooed across his knuckles, Powell is a wolf in sheep's clothing, charming to adults, but pure evil in the eyes of two children he relentlessly pursues to steal a hidden fortune. What unfolds is a nightmarish journey through rivers, shadows, and twisted morality. Audiences in the 1950s didn't know what to make of it. Was it a thriller? A horror film? A surreal fable? Its German expressionist-inspired visuals, exaggerated performances, and offbeat tone made it feel like nothing else of its time. For a generation used to clear-cut good versus evil storytelling, The Night of the Hunter was too strange, too daring, and too ahead of its time. The failure devastated Laughton, who never directed again. But years later, the film was rediscovered and reappraised. Critics began to see it for what it truly was, a visionary piece of filmmaking, rich with symbolism, atmosphere, and emotional depth. Today, The Night of the Hunter is considered a masterpiece, studied in film schools and revered by directors like Martin Scorsese and Guillermo del Toro. Its box office failure is now part of its legend, a misunderstood gem that finally found the audience it always deserved. Bringing Up Baby, 1938. Today, Bringing Up Baby is celebrated as one of the greatest screwball comedies of all time. With stars like Katharine Hepburn and Cary Grant and direction by the brilliant Howard Hawks, it seems impossible that this classic once flopped at the box office. But in 1938, that's exactly what happened. It was a commercial failure that even damaged careers. The film tells the story of a stuffy paleontologist, Dr. David Huxley, who's trying to secure a museum donation and complete his dinosaur skeleton. But his world is turned upside down when he crosses paths with Susan Vance, a wild, unpredictable heiress with a pet leopard named Baby. What follows is a whirlwind of chaos, misunderstandings, and madcap energy as David is dragged into Susan's world. One full of mix-ups, lost bones, stolen clothes, and plenty of leopard trouble. Audiences in the late 1930s didn't quite know what to make of the film. Its rapid-fire dialogue, absurd plot, and screwball energy were too chaotic for some viewers. Critics were mixed, and the film performed so poorly that RKO lost money and even considered Howard Hawks unreliable for future projects. Katharine Hepburn, who gave one of her most energetic performances, was labeled box office poison for a time. But like many great works ahead of their time, Bringing Up Baby eventually got the recognition it deserved. Over the decades, its wit, chemistry, and comedic timing earned it a reputation as a masterclass in screwball comedy. It became a favorite of film scholars, comedians, and movie lovers alike. What was once a misunderstood disaster is now seen as a brilliant piece of cinematic chaos. Proof that not every gem shines right away. Sometimes a leopard just needs time to be spotted. John Carter, 2012. In 2012, Disney released John Carter, a sci-fi epic based on Edgar Rice Burroughs' legendary Barsom novels. With a budget soaring over $250 million, it was one of the most expensive films ever made. And it looked the part. Sweeping alien landscapes, epic battles, and a story rooted in classic pulp fiction should have guaranteed box office gold. Instead, it crashed hard, becoming one of Hollywood's most infamous flops. The film follows John Carter, a weary Civil War veteran who mysteriously wakes up on Mars, known to its inhabitants as Barsoom. There, he discovers he has superhuman strength due to the planet's lower gravity and finds himself caught in the middle of a brutal war between rival Martian factions. As he fights to save the planet and its princess, Dejah Thoris, Carter slowly finds purpose again. Despite its rich source material and imaginative world-building, John Carter struggled from the start. The marketing was vague and uninspiring. Few understood what the movie was even about. The title gave no hint of the epic sci-fi adventure waiting inside. And while the visuals were stunning, critics and audiences felt the story was muddled and lacked emotional weight. Behind the scenes, studio politics and poor timing added to its downfall. Released in a crowded season and saddled with sky-high expectations, the movie never had a fair shot. It barely earned back half its production budget and was quickly labeled a massive financial disaster. Yet over the years, John Carter has gained a loyal fan base. Many now praise its ambition, visual style, and old-school adventure charm. While it may never shake off its flop label, it's also proof that even a cinematic failure can have lasting heart. The Lone Ranger, 2013. When The Lone Ranger galloped into theaters in 2013, expectations were sky-high. Starring Johnny Depp as Tonto and Armie Hammer as the masked hero, the film promised a fresh take on a classic American legend. Backed by a hefty budget of over $215 million and Disney's marketing power, it seemed destined to be a blockbuster. But instead, it stumbled badly, becoming one of Hollywood's most costly flops. The story follows John Reed, a Texas Ranger left for dead after a brutal ambush. Rescued by the mysterious Tonto, Reed takes on the mantle of the Lone Ranger, fighting injustice alongside his loyal companion. Together, they navigate a wild, corrupt frontier full of danger, greed, and hidden secrets. Despite its star-studded cast and spectacular action scenes, the film struggled to find its tone. Was it a serious Western? A buddy comedy? A fantasy adventure? Critics and audiences alike found it confusing and uneven. Depp's portrayal of Tonto sparked controversy, with many questioning the cultural sensitivity and depth of the character. Meanwhile, the lengthy runtime and convoluted plot left viewers disconnected. Box office returns reflected the film's troubles. It earned just over half its massive budget, leaving Disney with hundreds of millions in losses. The failure shook studio confidence and led to major reconsiderations of big-budget westerns in Hollywood. However, The Lone Ranger has since found a niche audience who appreciate its ambitious blend of old-school adventure, mythology, and offbeat humor. Though it never fulfilled its blockbuster promise, the film stands as a cautionary tale about the risks of reinventing beloved legends without clear vision. Mars Needs Moms, 2011. In 2011, Mars Needs Moms arrived as a bold experiment in animation, a heartwarming story about a young boy named Milo who embarks on a daring mission to rescue his mom after Martians kidnap her. With cutting-edge motion capture technology and a talented team behind it, the film promised a new era of animated storytelling. Instead, it quickly became one of the biggest box office disasters of the decade. The plot centers on Milo, whose life turns upside down when Martians arrive to take his mother away for mysterious reasons. Determined and brave, Milo ventures to the Red Planet to save her, learning about family, courage, and love along the way. Despite its heartfelt message and impressive visuals, Mars Needs Moms failed to connect with audiences. The motion capture animation, intended to create realistic character movements, instead fell into the uncanny valley, leaving many viewers uncomfortable and disengaged. The film's promotional campaign was weak and failed to generate excitement, and it faced stiff competition from other family favorites at the time. When it hit theaters, Mars Needs Moms grossed only a fraction of its estimated $150 million budget, leading to massive financial losses for Disney. The movie's failure shook confidence in motion capture technology for animation and made studios rethink the risks of experimental storytelling in family films. Yet in the years since, some fans have appreciated its ambition and the emotional core beneath the technical flaws. It stands as a reminder that even with the best intentions and groundbreaking technology, capturing hearts on the big screen remains a challenge. Mars Needs Moms may have flopped, but its story about the bond between mother and child still resonates, proof that sometimes the biggest missions don't go as planned. The Adventures of Pluto Nash, 2002. In 2002, The Adventures of Pluto Nash blasted off with high hopes to become a sci-fi comedy sensation. Starring Eddie Murphy as the charismatic owner of a nightclub on the moon, the film promised laughs, action, and a futuristic adventure unlike anything before. Yet, despite a massive budget of around $100 million, it crash-landed spectacularly at the box office and quickly earned the reputation of one of Hollywood's biggest flops. The plot centers on Pluto Nash, a former smuggler turned businessman who runs a popular lunar club. When a crime syndicate threatens his livelihood, Pluto must fight back with charm, wit, and a little help from his friends. The story mixes slapstick humor with sci-fi action, aiming for a fun, family-friendly blockbuster. But audiences and critics were not impressed. The film's jokes felt tired and its special effects underwhelming. Eddie Murphy's usual charm couldn't save a script that lacked energy and originality. Additionally, poor marketing and stiff competition left Pluto Nash buried beneath other summer releases. The financial fallout was brutal. The movie earned barely $7 million domestically, causing a staggering loss for Warner Brothers and nearly ending Eddie Murphy's streak of box office hits. It also sparked debates about the risks of expensive sci-fi comedies. Despite its failure, The Adventures of Pluto Nash has since become a cult curiosity, a reminder of how even star power and big budgets can't guarantee success. It's a story about ambition, missteps, and how Hollywood's biggest space adventures don't always reach the stars. Sullivans Travels, 1941. When Sullivans Travels was released in 1941, it flew under the radar despite being directed by the legendary Preston Sturges and starring the charismatic Joel McCrea. Today, it's considered a classic comedy with a sharp message about the power of laughter and storytelling. But at the time, it surprisingly failed to find a big audience, making it one of Hollywood's overlooked gems. The film follows John L. Sullivan, a successful Hollywood director famous for his light-hearted comedies. But tired of his shallow success, he dreams of making a serious, socially conscious film about the struggles of the poor. To truly understand hardship, he disguises himself as a homeless man and sets off on a journey across America. What follows is a satirical and heartwarming adventure filled with quirky characters, slapstick humor, and profound moments. Sullivans Travels force him to confront the realities of poverty, but more importantly, they remind him, and the audience, why laughter matters so much, especially in hard times. Despite its clever screenplay and timely themes, released as the U.S. was on the brink of entering World War II, the film didn't perform well commercially. Audiences seemed unsure how to take its blend of comedy and social commentary, and it lacked the immediate charm of Sturges' other hits. Over time, however, Sullivans Travels has been rediscovered as a masterpiece. Film scholars praise its insightful message about the value of humor and the human spirit, and it's now a beloved classic that balances laughter with meaning. Though it flopped upon release, Sullivans Travels remains a testament to how sometimes the greatest stories take time to be truly appreciated.